What's going on, everybody? We have made it back for another amazing day here at the It Starts With Me show. This is going to be a great show today. We have an excellent interviewee that's going to be here. She's going to just like shake everybody up. I'm really excited about this. Honestly, we've had a couple of conversations already, and they are always amazing. She's genuine. So, let's go ahead and clear some things up. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow. All right. We need you out there. DM us. Let us know what you're thinking about the shows. Talk to us. We talk back. We don't bite. We love it. All right. Also, remember, on Mondays, my co-host and the Community Beacon will be there. Mike Seville, the real estate king. He will be live with Motivational Mike Monday. And for those of y'all who know him, he doesn't even know if he wants to call it Motivational Mike. Because he's like, I'm just giving it to him raw. That's how he is. But I love him nonetheless. He's a great guy. All right. And then, of course, today, every single Wednesday, it starts with me every Wednesday, 12:30. And last but not least, the Community Beacon. We are loving all that you all are sending us in regards to the Community Beacon. Please continue to watch. Listen, tomorrow's show is going to be awesome. Tomorrow's show is going to be awesome. You all know we're talking about wellness, and we will be discussing body and mind. And next week, we'll be discussing spirit and soul. You got to be there. It's all about being holistic. You got to take care of the entire body. Don't just try to fix one piece. You need to fix it all. You need to work on it all, because that's what's going to give you the best bang for your buck, and it's going to help you to become the best version of you. So please tune in, jump in, get in, be a part of this thing. You can make it happen. All right, now let's go. This is where we're at. We are going to bring to your front Miss CJ. All right, now CJ Scarlet is going to be awesome. Her business title, get this. I don't even normally say this type of stuff unless I'm like reading the Bible and I'm talking about a donkey. All right, but I'm going to say it because I love CJ. So the business name is Badass Grandma Ventures. I mean, so you know she's gonna be like tough. I'm telling you, she's gonna be tough. She's gonna be like, hey, what'd you say? All right, it's gonna be great. Don't worry about it. All right, so the business title is Danger Expert and Author. Oh yeah, we want to get into this. All right, so let me just tell you, one of the reasons why she wanted to be on the show is she says she loves my podcast. I gotta love her because of that. I mean, come on, right? All right, listen, short bio. CJ Scarlet, aka the Badass Grandma, is a danger expert and author of Unfair Advantage, the Badass Parent's Guide to Predator-Proofing Tween Teens, Badass Parenting and Heroic Parenting, which help parents empower their kids to protect and defend themselves from dangerous people. Everybody out there right now, go ahead and share this with a parent, because they want to hear this. All right, share with the parent. She is a survivor of sexual abuse herself, so she knows what she's talking about. She knows where she came from. All right, you're gonna love this. CJ transformed her trauma into a career in victim advocacy, helping thousands of survivors claim their power too. The former roller skating, car hop, forest firefighter, U.S. Marine photojournalist, holds a master's degree in human violence and has been named one of the happy 100 people on the planet. So that means you will never even see it coming. So do batters beware, because the badass do-gooder is here. Clap your hands for CJ Scarlet as she comes forward.
Oh my gosh, that is the best introduction I have ever had, Joel. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. I really enjoy you. You can be one of my grandmothers. I love you.
I would love that.
I've got an honorary grandmother. Everyone in the world, I want you to know I just gained an honorary grandmother. Thank you. Do I call you grandma? Do I call you what?
Grandma.
What grandma. All right. From this point on, it's Grandma CJ. I love it.
I am so thrilled to be on your show, Joel. I have listened to your podcast, and I just think you have the most amazing guests. and your way of interviewing people is so much fun. And so I'm thrilled to be here.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'm glad to have you here. I really, really, truly am. I'm learning so many things about you. I'm learning about your doggies. I'm learning about your children, your grandchildren. I'm learning that you are the grandma to go to. I
Yes.
love that. Yeah. How's your week been?
My week has been really, really good. I always have good weeks. I wasn't named one of the happy 100 people on the planet for no reason. I'm always in a good mood.
That's a good thing. People have difficulty with that. And I have found that it really comes down to making a choice.
Absolutely. I didn't used to be like this. I used to be all over the place, and I believed that life was happening to me. I didn't recognize that life was happening for me. And
Mm,
so when things would happen outside, I thought it was outside of my control, I would react to it instead of recognizing that I had a choice in every single moment about how to respond.
that's powerful. That's powerful. That is powerful. And I hope that everyone is getting a little bit of that right there, because right out the gate, that's a huge lesson to learn, that life is happening for you. You're a part of this life. And it's not just happening to you.
Mhm.
There's millions of us. There's 7 billion people in the world. It can't just be happening to me, but
Mhm.
it takes a certain type of mindset to get there. How did you develop that mindset?
Well, perception is reality. I developed it the hard way. As a survivor of sexual assault, um, I developed PTSD and had a lot of trauma. And as a result of all that trauma and post traumatic stress, I developed several autoimmune conditions, lupus and scleroderma, that I was diagnosed with when I was 30 years old. And over the years, I was disabled off and on. And then in 2000, I became completely debilitated. I had to go up and down the stairs on my hands and knees. I couldn't lift a glass of water. I couldn't turn a doorknob. I was on massive doses of steroids, and my weight just ballooned. I was in constant pain. And then in 2002, my doctors told me that my heart was failing, that I could die at any time. And Joel, I fell into the deepest depression you can imagine and curled up in a ball and waited to die. And then I got a chance to meet privately with a Tibetan Buddhist Lama for advice. And I hobbled up to the Lama's house and I made a pitiful bow and I burst into tears and I poured out my tale of woe and waited for him to shower me with much deserved sympathy. And that's when I learned that Lamas don't do dramas, because he very kindly but very sternly told me to stop feeling sorry for myself and start thinking about the happiness of other people. I was shocked. I was offended. He was like, he was saying I shouldn't feel bad about what was happening to me. And so I kind of argued with him, which you do not do with a llama. Trust me on this. And he said it again: stop feeling sorry for yourself and start thinking about the happiness of other people. And I thought, what can I possibly do in my debilitated state to help anybody? I couldn't even help myself. So I was thinking about it on the drive home, and an ambulance flew by with a siren blaring. And I said a quick wish for the person inside that they would find help and healing. And I thought, well, that was easy. I can do that. So I started letting the other drivers cut ahead of me in line and leaving the better handicap spot for someone else, and letting the mom with the crying baby go ahead of me in line at the grocery store. And I felt a little happier. So I started to do more. I gave an old woman my cane when she was struggling to walk. And I put inspirational notes on the driver's side door at the cancer center and in random books at the used bookstore. And I volunteered at the Red Cross after Hurricane Katrina, and I felt even happier. Because what had happened, Joel, is that I had become so consumed by my own suffering that I forgot that everyone's fighting a hard battle. Everyone is suffering in some way. And I had lost touch with my connection to humanity. And by doing these acts of kindness, it opened my heart and reconnected me to others. And so I reached a point doing these daily acts of kindness that it no longer mattered whether I was sick or well or even living or dying. I was just happy. And at that point, my condition went into remission, all within 18 months. And it's been 20 years now, 20 years after I was supposed to be dead. And I feel better today than I have felt in the last 30 years.
Mm.
And all because of the advice of that Lama.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, okay. This is impactful. I mean, this is something, if people were to hear this and they were to follow in your footsteps and really just seek out the good in someone else, that, so one of my mentors, Daddy Bailey, he would always say, the greatest receiver is the greatest giver. If you want to receive something, first you have to give. And the more you give, the more you'll receive. And I just feel like a part of what you were saying was that maybe not knowingly, but that through giving this love, this compassion, that you put so much out into the world, into the universe, into other people, that before you knew it, it just started to arrive at your own doorstep.
Exactly. The way I like to say it is, to get what you want, give it away. If you want more respect, you have to respect others. If you want more love, you have to love others. And you don't do it just to get, but in the act of giving, it comes back to you, just like it says in the Bible and every other spiritual, religious religion out there. It comes back to you tenfold. Whatever you put out there to the world, whether it's positive or negative, will come back to you tenfold. So if you put out negativity and hatred and anger and gossip and all that stuff to the world, you're going to get it slammed with it. But if you put out love and generosity and gratitude and compassion, it comes back to you. It's beautiful the way it works.
Yes. And okay, so you dropped something else in the middle of all that. I heard something else that just like really struck a chord. So you don't just give to get. Mm-hmm. That's powerful. Please dive deeper into that philosophy right there.
Yeah, life is not a transaction. Relationships are not transactional. You don't ask somebody for something or give somebody to something just to be able to immediately say, and then you can do this for me. If you do it with a pure heart, as an act of generosity, for the act itself, for the gift you're giving itself, then that's when it becomes really powerful. If you do it as a transaction, I gave this to you, now you owe me, it will swing back the other way. You'll get something negative back. Almost always. 100%. And I want to say something about giving real quickly. I'm going to throw this in there and it may change the course of the conversation, but a lot of people, I used to get really upset when people say negative things to me or hurt my feelings or or abuse me or whatever. But especially with hurt feelings, when it's people that you're very close to, it's much more impactful. And it was not that lama, but a different spiritual master who said something to the effect of, just because someone gives you a gift doesn't mean you have to accept it. And that my jaw hit the floor, because it was like, just because somebody offers me the quote unquote gift of something negative doesn't mean I have to accept the gift they're offering. And the other thing I'll say about gifts is that, just like life is happening for us, the bigger the butthead, the better the teacher. The most negative people in our lives, the people who influence us negatively the most, the ones that really push our buttons and trip our triggers, are our best teachers.
Push our buttons and trip our triggers. I mean, do you all hear this? I mean, you're a wordsmith. That was beautifully stated. I mean, I love that. I agree with you. I have a philosophy, and it's one that I offer to people as well. And I got it actually from the USPS store. My wife taught it to me, but I kind of turned it around. So she taught me, she said, hey, listen, you know how to use these boxes. Maybe it was priority or something like that. I was like, yeah, I mean, you put the mail inside of the box. What else do I need to know? So she said, yes, but this is the deal. No matter how the box looks, if you can fit whatever it is inside the box, it ships for the same price. Just like that. Okay. So years go down, and I had this great awakening in the last couple of years, and it hit me. If it fits, it ships. So when you give something, if it fits inside somebody's life, it will ship. It will move to their heart, to their brain. And they can use it any which way they want to.
Yes. And the universe is constantly shipping us gifts in the form of people who are good to us, in the form of people who are bad to us. And it's up to us to determine whether, once you recognize that everything is a gift in some way, that there's a lesson for you, even if it comes in a negative lesson, there's a lesson and a gift for you in that negative experience, then nothing will ever bother you again. Nothing will ever make you unhappy again. I can't think of anything that's made me upset or unhappy in the longest time, because everything to me now is every experience has something in it for me that makes me a better, stronger, nicer, kinder, more compassionate person.
We're talking about true freedom right here.
Yes.
That's what we're discussing. We're discussing being made free.
Mm-hmm. And my dogs agree.
Say it again.
I said my dogs agree.
I didn't even hear them. But that's what we're discussing. We're talking about freedom. There's a scripture that I love. I just love this scripture because the scripture always helped me, especially when I just was wrapped up in this. I don't know how I'm going to make it through. And it's Romans 8:28. All things work together for good for them that love the name of the Lord. There's even a TV show where they just quote one piece of it. All things work for good. That's it. And the thing is, that's exactly what you're discussing right now. When we start to take that philosophy in us, it changes the way we see everything, right? What do you say?
Exactly. That captures it so beautifully. It really does. And if you recognize that everything's working for you, that the universe is on your side, that the universe is working for you, God, the universe, Great Spirit, whatever you want to call it, then all is golden. In Buddhist terms, they believe that the cause of all suffering is wanting things to be different than the way they really are.
Whoa, hold on. That was powerful.
Yep.
So you're talking about people they don't really want actuality.
We want things to be our way. We either want to attract things that we desire, or we want to get rid of things we don't want. That we want to get rid of things that make us upset or unhappy. So we could love somebody with all of our heart and marry them and spend 10 years with them, and then they do something that thwarts us, that upsets us, that goes against what we want, and suddenly they're our worst enemy. We see this every day all over the world. People we used to love suddenly become the devil, and they didn't instantly turn into the devil. They just did something that didn't fall in with what you wanted in your mind to happen. And the cure for that suffering is to release attachment to the outcome. Releasing attachment to the outcome means let go of that vision in your mind of how it's supposed to be, and let life come at you and respond to that with love, and you won't suffer. The suffering is gone.
Yes. When you give something, you were talking about giving, whatever you give, whether it's love, compassion, commitment, or whether it's a cup of coffee, whenever you give something, no attachments. You cannot control it, or you should not have given it. Don't give it if you can't release it.
That's right. Don't buy the car if you can't imagine it broken, because if you become so attached to that car or that person, then if something changes about that person, or your car gets into an accident or whatever, suddenly you're upset. Well, releasing attachment to the outcome means allowing things to be as they actually are, not as you wish them to be. Living in the present moment instead of regretting the past or anticipating a future that you cannot control.
Yes. Yeah. Grandma CJ, you on fire.
Spitting out that wisdom.
I love it. It's absolutely beautiful. Even Anna was in the background and she put down audible clapping, happy Anna clapping. It's impactful. So do you mind discussing some of how you came across where you are now as being the badass grandma?
Sure. Wow. Everybody has a dysfunction in their family to some extent, but I had, a classic dysfunctional family, and had these childhood experiences and teenage experiences that led me again to that were traumatizing. And But a lot of people experience traumatizing events. And one of the, if you told me I was a victim, that I thought like a victim and had a victim mentality, I would have been more upset than you can possibly imagine. I would have said, heck no, I'm not. But I was. I had a victim mentality. Again, I believe that life happened to me, that I was expecting people to treat me badly and constantly trying to appease others so that they wouldn't hurt me. And that made me go along with anybody and everyone on all kinds of things. I mean, I can have a conversation with you about something and agree with you, and then have a conversation with Anna and she'd say something totally opposite, and I would agree with her because I wanted to make you love me and like me and not hurt me. A lot of people spend a lot of time doing that, appeasing the people in their lives because they're afraid they won't like you or love you or employ you anymore. And what that does is it dampens your spirit. You don't live an authentic life. I did not live an authentic life until I was well into my 30s because I didn't know who I was. I was too busy being what I thought everybody else wanted me to be. So I spent most of my life, or half of my life, in that form. And then when I got horribly ill and was told I was going to die, the worst thing that can happen to anybody, that became my greatest gift, that I do not regret it at all. It became the greatest gift the universe has ever handed me was a death sentence. Because it stops you in your tracks. And all the things that you thought were so important just fall away. Suddenly you're looking death in the eye, and you have to look at yourself. Who am I really? What do I care about? What am I afraid of? And I was afraid of lots of things that I had to confront. And one of the things I had to confront about myself is, in the process of being inauthentic with myself and with other people, was that as a victim with a victim mentality, I manipulated people around me, not to be cruel, but to control my environment so that I could make sure people weren't going to hurt me. Does that make sense? So yes. I would make friends with people and tell them what they wanted to hear and make them feel like they had all this potential to do things. And then when they couldn't meet my standards of the vision I saw for them, they felt disappointed in themselves and like they disappointed me. Well, it was so unfair to do that to them. But I was constantly manipulating the others around me in my life. And when I had to really look myself in the mirror hard and see that was not a fun time, let me tell you. Not a fun time. But it was a very essential thing to do, because seeing myself as I really was and looking at my own machinations and how I manipulated the people around me in my environment, and how I used people and how I treated people when I thought I was being so loving and compassionate when I really wasn't. As hard as it is, was a beautiful thing, because only when you truly are able to admit that and see that in yourself are you able to change it. I couldn't change what I couldn't see. Once I saw it, I had a choice. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's the thing. You can drink it, or try to drink it away, or drug it away, or sex it away. And a lot of people do that, but it doesn't work. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. You can't do it. It's going to pop up and hit you in the face. You just can't. So do the hard work. You got to do the hard work and so that you can make that choice about your life, because you have a choice to change it. And every second we have a new moment to make a different decision, to make a different choice, to take a different path.
Yes. That's part of the main philosophy of It Starts With Me, is actually time and chance. Time and chance, because everyone has time and chance. If you're alive, you've got time. What you do with it is what you do with it. And a chance is as simple as that. It's an opportunity. You either make a choice or you make a choice. Even not making a choice is a choice.
That's exactly right. That's why I love your show so much, Joel, because you dive into these issues, these topics, this truth, this real, honest to God, authentic truth. And you're not afraid of it.
I definitely appreciate you being on here with me. So the victim mind, when you were discussing the victim mind, you went down this course of action where you started to talk about being non-authentic. And I think that's powerful. explain what the victim mind felt like, and then if you can tell me what it was. Now, I mean, I know that you're telling me what it was that you believe brought you out, but can you take me through that step-by-step process a little bit more?
Sure. The victim mindset is it's a terrible place to live in because again, as we discussed at the very beginning of the show, you believe that life is happening to you, that you are a victim of life. As Mongo said in Blazing Saddles, you are a victim, pawn of life. And that other people determine what happens to you. We believe that your mother-in-law makes you upset. She can't make you upset. You choose whether to accept that gift of upset from her or not. You choose whether you're making a choice or not, whether you think you're not choosing, you are, to react in the way that you do.
If
You
it
could
fits, it
react differently.
ships.
Yeah. If it fits, it ships. I'm going to steal that from you. That's wonderful.
Oh,
That's wonderful.
hey, Grandma, go for it. Come on.
So an example that I use is imagine you're walking down a sidewalk and someone suddenly roughly shoves you to the ground, a total stranger, and you're bleeding and you're bruised and you're cut and you're furious with this person who just attacked you. And then you realize they just shoved you out of the way of a speeding car and saved your life. Suddenly you are suffused with gratitude and appreciation for this stranger. The exact same thing happened, but you have completely different reactions based on your perception of what's happening. And my perception constantly was, there's something wrong with me that makes good people do bad things. So I believe that the people who were abusing me were good people doing bad things because there was something wrong with me. And that is so common, especially among child survivors. Children tend to make everything about them. And when the people they love or trust do awful things to them, they believe it's because they have done something to deserve it or done something wrong. And that's what's so messed up. It was Frederick Douglass who said, oh gosh, I'm going to mess this up. He said, it's easier to repair, to build strong children than to repair broken men.
Mm.
And that's very true. When I was a director of a child advocacy center here in North Carolina, we would have children come in every day who were broken and traumatized. And when they got the help they needed and were told it wasn't their fault and reassured and given the counseling that they required, 6 months later, they would skip out of treatment, happy kids, once we removed them from the bad situation. Because when you grow up believing that there's something inherently wrong with you, you loathe yourself, as I did. You think you are the scum of the earth. And I hated myself, Joel. I thought I was the lowest thing on the planet. And the only thing that brought me out of it was claiming my power. When I first started dealing with the child abuse issues when I turned 30, I started going to counseling at a rape crisis center and came to appreciate that as I got angry for the other women about their stories, because what happened to them was so wrong, it made me realize that what happened to me was wrong too, and that it wasn't my fault either. And in the process of going through that, I was able to say, wait a minute, the person who did this to me is a predator. I did not deserve that. I don't care how bad I think I am. I didn't deserve to be raped. I wasn't asking to be raped. And that led me to a very powerful place where I could begin to have a glimmer, just a glimmer at first, that maybe I wasn't so terrible after all. It breaks my heart that of the almost 8 billion people that are on this planet right now, the vast majority of them hate themselves, especially women. There's something that happens to girls when they turn 8 or 9, they fall off this confidence cliff and they just start to think that they're terrible people. If I could wave a magic wand and do one thing, it would be to help people to love themselves, because I'm like a teenage boy now. I mean, I'm just like, I'm just like, I'm like a 6-year-old in a Batman t-shirt, as they say.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay.
I wouldn't trade it for anything.
So perception, victim mindset. Part of what you were saying is that a lot of the victim mindset has to deal with perception. And now I'm hearing two pieces to this. One piece is the victim, their perception of whatever is happening to them, especially in children, because the world revolves around them. That's all they know. The other piece is in who or the what is around them, nature, nurture, whatever that is, and how they are speaking, acting, caring about themselves around these individuals that may orchestrate a shameful look or a shameful thought, or the conversation may be belittling. And so there's two parts to that. And I want to hear you talk more about the perception piece first.
Yeah, because perception is not reality, but perception rules most people's lives. It is our perception of what we think is happening versus what is really happening, what the other person's intention was, or whatever, or how we feel about ourselves in response to that determines how we're going to react. And so when you have a situation with somebody who's been abused or raised, who's been traumatized in their childhood or adulthood or whatever, if their perception is that they deserved it somehow, or they feel badly about themselves, that's going to color their world. Did you ever read the book Cujo about the rabid dog?
No, I saw the movie.
You saw the movie then. Perfect. You saw the movie, because in the movie, what they do is they put a red filter over the camera when Cujo is looking out at the world. Yes. That's exactly what this bad perception is, this misled perception is like. It's like looking at the world through a red filter where all you see is danger. There's an exercise that I do sometimes when I speak around the country, and that's to have people look around the room and look for everything red, look for everything red, look for everything red. And people will scan the room and look for the woman in the red shirt and the red hat and, the red curtains and everything else. And I say, okay, stop. Now, everybody, close your eyes. Tell me something you saw that was blue. And people can't, because they were looking for red, and that's all they saw. And life is exactly like that, Joel. If what you're seeing is through a red filter and you're looking for danger or pain or dysfunction or agony or bad, a bad mirror that reflects back to you that you're a terrible person, you're going to find it. But I'm telling you, that's a fraction of what's actually out there. The world is reflecting back to you love and beauty and kindness and generosity and compassion. That's there too at the exact same time. So it isn't that life is not beautiful. It's exactly like a terrible thunderstorm or a tornado or a hurricane. If the negative mindset is, oh my God, there's a hurricane. It's here. It's never going to go away. I always live in a hurricane. Above that hurricane, the sun is shining. It is always there. So all these beautiful things are out there at the same time. All these negative things are also out there. The key is to shift your focus, your perception of what you choose to perceive, to those positive things. So if you shut yourself down from the negative stuff and say, I won't tolerate being treated with disrespect. I will not look for people in my life who are disrespectful. If I go on that first date and the guy makes an inappropriate joke, I don't have to marry this guy. I can get out of that relationship. I can leave the restaurant and not even say goodbye. That's a clue. Life offers you clues to get out of these situations. But if it offered, and you can constantly be inviting the positive stuff by lifting your own vibration and being around people who have a higher vibration, people who are more positive, people who, if your problem is money, look at the 5 people you're hanging out with. You are the average of the 5 people you're hanging out with. And if they're all terrible with money, you don't stand a chance. You've got to start hanging out with people who have a better money mindset.
Yes. 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 I mean, this is beautiful. Shift your focus. Change your circles. So what are some other things that you could do to start to create this more positive mindset and to believe in it?
These are all things. There are so many things that can be done. I narrow it down to 3 simple things people can do to live a happy life. Okay. One is to recognize that everyone around them is suffering and wants to be happy just like you do. I want to say that again. Everyone in the world wants to be happy just like you do. And the crazy things they do that look like they don't want to be happy, like doing drugs or getting into bad relationships or stripping or whatever they're doing, that look like they don't want to be happy, is just their way of trying to either anesthetize themselves from pain or trying to get that happiness in the only way they know how. But they're looking for happiness just like you. So number one is recognize that everyone wants to be happy just like you do. Number two is to do everything in your power to help them to be happy. And number three, without becoming a martyr, without giving yourself away to the point that you're exhausted. That's not helpful. Yeah, it's got to have balance.
That's important. That's
very
important. We have to hear that. That's important.
Yeah. And number three is be happy, because once you do that, once you start helping other people find their happiness, it comes back. You get yours.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
3 steps. That's all it takes.
Cast your bread upon many waters, and in not many days it will return hence. In other words, give to many, give a lot. And after a short period of time, it will return back to you. You don't know which way it'll return. You have no clue which way it'll come back to you, but it will come back to you. Can
I touch on the martyrdom thing for just 1 second? Because I was really bad about that. I went out of my way to do for people so much that I was doing everything for them. I would meet somebody who needed a resource or help. And instead of saying, here's a resource that you can go to help you get off drugs or to help you find sexual abuse resources, I would do it for them. I would call the resource and make the appointment and drive them to the appointment. Well, people constantly felt I was a speed bump in their lives because they would not go to the appointment. They would not make the call. And so because I was trying to take ownership of their lives, I was taking the control away from them. It's helpful to offer someone a resource or to offer them a ride or whatever, but it's not helpful to go so far beyond that to martyrdom that you are doing it all for them, because then they don't feel a sense of responsibility or ownership. You're not helping them. That's where parents of drug abusers get in trouble, or spouses of drug abusers get into trouble. They try to, or the ones who are on my 600-pound life, the hoarders. It's often the people who are taking care of them that are the real problem. Because they're buying these massive quantities of food. They're trying to help them anesthetize their pain, and they're making their pain worse in the process.
Give a person a fish, they'll eat for a day. Teach them how to fish, they'll eat for life.
Exactly. Boy, that you hit it on the head. You can't, if you reach a point where you become anytime you become resentful of another person, you can almost always trace it back to the fact that you're doing something for them that you should not be doing, that they should be doing for themselves.
Yes. All right. So I want to get to this next little piece, and we're going to end up closing it out with this one. Manipulation of others. You start to open that door, and I think that that's really important. First off, when you were talking about not being authentic, you were talking about how that strips you. What I received was it strips you of your self-awareness. By not being authentic, it strips you of your own self-awareness. But then you were starting to say, in this mode, you started to make a little bit of change and you began to manipulate others. Tell me why.
To be safe, so that I wouldn't get hurt. And the saddest part about that was it had the exact opposite effect of what I intended. I thought if I laid belly up and looked vulnerable, the bad people wouldn't hurt me. What they did when I was vulnerable was the bad people flocked to me. That's why when you see people who are being groomed by predators, people who are serial victims of predators, like I was victimized over and over again by sexual predators. Because it was never my fault. I know that now, but I also was an ideal victim because I had no self-confidence. I clearly carried myself like I had no self-confidence. I wasn't going to say no. I was never going to set a boundary. I was never going to defend a boundary. I was never going to fight my way out of it. And predators can spot people like that, like they're psychic. Predators know how to find those people. They can spot them from across the room. They actually did a study. They asked people in prison, to look at videos of people walking down the street and determine who they would victimize if they could. And consistently, they chose the people who were walking with stooped shoulders, with their head down, who looked like they were afraid of their environment. They were always going to target those people. The ones that were walking head up, eyes clear, they were going to leave alone. In my books, I literally teach parents how to teach their children the skills they need to know to avoid getting into a bad situation in the first place, but then to fight their way out of it like a rabid Tasmanian devil if they find themselves in a situation they don't want to be in.
I love that. I love that. A rabid Tasmanian devil. You know, every time I've heard you say this before, but I know that there's a Tasmanian devil, and I understand what the animal does. That animal will chase a bear.
And it's a tiny little animal, but it's got the most ferocious bite that you can imagine.
It's a little bigger than a skunk, right? Yeah. You know, but what I see though, because of my age and because of the way I grew up, is Taz. And then I think about him having rabies, and it's like Taz meets Cujo. Ah!
Exactly. Taz is all fists and feet and fangs. You don't want to mess with Taz. And when you learn the techniques I teach in my books about how to use your bodily weapons without knowing any form of martial arts or self-defense moves, you can keep any predator at bay.
Yes. I love it. Yeah. I love it. Tell us, how can people get in contact with you? Tell them about your book. Give us something.
Okay. I am very accessible and I respond to all my emails. So it's cj@cjscarlet.com, and that's cj@cjscarlet.com, just one T. And I have a website, cjscarlet.com. My books are Unfair Advantage, which will be published in the fall. I have Badass Parenting and Heroic Parenting for parents of kids 0 to 9. They're the same book, but Badass Parenting has some swearing in it. A lot of swearing, actually. And Heroic Parenting does not. I took the profanity out. Then I have the Badass Girls Guide, Uncommon Strategies to Outwit Predators for girls 13 on up, girls and women, about how to avoid sexual predators and fight their way out of a bad situation. Unfair Advantage, the book I'm getting ready to publish, is for parents of kids 10 to 18. And I cover everything from bullying and cyberbullying to sexual molestation and assault to digital dangers to sex trafficking. And I cover consent, about sexual consent and how to have the conversation with your kids, which is really, really, really important.
Yes. 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 Thank you. Okay.
And those are available on Amazon, by the way. But you have to look for CJ Scarlet. And there's another CJ Scarlet on Amazon who writes romance novels. And I promise you, those are not my books. You got to look for my.
No, they are not.
I am not a romanticist.
Is there any closing comments that you'd like to share with the audience?
I just want to say to those of you who are listening right now, who have any shred of doubt about their worth, their value, whether they are lovable, do the work to change that attitude. You can. It can be done. If I can come out of the depths, the pit of despair myself, then you can too. You are worthy, you are valuable, and you are lovable. And coming to that place where you finally can embrace that, we talked about freedom earlier. There is nothing on this planet like it. For me, it is heaven on earth.
Yes.
It is heaven on earth. Find it. Find me, and I will steer you toward it. I won't do it for you, but I'll steer you toward it.
Beautiful, beautiful. Grandma CJ, thank you so much. You're coming back.
Oh, I would love that. I would love that.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to talk to you about the things that I'm doing and hear the things that you're doing. So we look forward to having you back. Thank you.
I really appreciate your time and your audience. I appreciate them so much. And to Anna, who helped me get in touch with you.
Absolutely.
So you're wonderful. You're a warm and gracious host, and I appreciate it very much.
Thank you. All right. I'll talk to you in a little bit, okay?
Okay.
Bye. Everybody, I told you that CJ was amazing. Grandma CJ, for me. I don't know about you all, but I can call her grandma. I got permission. All right. So she's amazing. I want you to remember a few things that she said. Uh, I want you to remember everything she said. As a matter of fact, just go back and rewind it. And if you feel like you didn't know what it was, rewind it again and again and again until you get it all, because she dropped jewels everywhere, and you need to pick them up. You need to go and invest. You need to bank this. All right. Perception is not reality. That's huge. Take that in, please. And no self-confidence, no fight, no defense equals a serial victim. If you want to stop being a victim, find your self-confidence, find your fight, find your defense. My dad always taught me, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. You find yourself falling for anything, it's time to stand up. You don't know how to do it, you need to call up Grandma CJ. And if you can't figure out how to get to her, you DM me and I will get you to her. All right. Thomas Jefferson said this: nothing can stop the man with the right mental attitude from achieving his goal. Nothing on earth can help the man with the wrong mental attitude. So get it together. Remember this: it starts with you, just like it starts with me. Peace.